In a year where the world seemed to spin out of control, normal seemed like a distant dream. But what if it's not the end with all this chaos, but it's a new beginning for all of us?
We've handed over our food security to someone else, and they're here to help you take it back. It's the Farm to Table Direct Show with Ryan and Keith.
Let's roll. Hello, everyone. This is Keith with Farm to Table Direct Show, and over here is my brother Ryan.
Hey, everybody.
My son Josh, the boss, is also in the house tonight. In this episode, we're going to cover the chaos of 2023, and then we're going to get into why 2024, or what our plans are in 2024, to not just survive, but to thrive.
That's going to be a big statement, bro.
So
hey, here we go.
Let's cover kind of some things that went on in 2023.
The
I'm sure you
chaos.
guys these are so obscure nobody's ever heard of it, right?
Right. Nah, couldn't possibly have heard of it.
Right.
You know, who's heard about the presidential election? You know, and all the campaign crap that's been going on for the last year.
I know. It is literally every year that they talk about the president. This is the most important presidential election ever.
Right.
Dude, this is the strangest, most chaotic situation that I can remember. And I've been around for a while.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like, and you know, normally you have an election cycle.
Mm-hmm.
This started, man, one, I don't think it's really stopped in the last 3 years, but it definitely didn't. I mean, it didn't went in the normal cycle. I mean, the GOP field was campaigning a year ago,
Right.
you know, and it's like, we ain't even got, you know, we're on the edge of the primaries, but I mean, yeah, and every time you turned on, I know every time I clicked on my news stuff, there was something related to one of the people in the field. Didn't matter, Democrat, didn't matter which one was, RFK Jr.,
Right.
whoever, it didn't
Yeah.
matter. There was
What
some
an
kind of
anomaly
news.
that I didn't expect RFK
Right.
Jr., right?
Right, and then going independent at that, you know.
Right.
I mean, so.
Yeah, and then of course the questions that are coming up about that is, you know, why did he do it? Who does he want to pull the votes away from? Because he ain't going to win.
No.
Right. Another
Well, no
Ross-
independent ever has.
Yeah,
Right.
another Ross Perot situation.
Yeah,
Right,
something
and
like that. That's
Maybe,
the kind of the way
you
I
know,
see it.
And so, you know, yeah, that's the election cycle and just nonstop. I mean, you know, and I mean, hey, is it going to be Biden? Is he even going to be the Democrat nominee?
Exactly. Right.
You know? And is it, I mean, the GOP field versus Trump? I mean,
Right. That's what it is.
I mean, think
right
about
now.
how many, what have they had? 3, 4 GOP debates?
Mm-hmm.
And Trump's not been at any of them, and he's still got a massive lead.
Right.
I'm not interested in those. I
Well,
don't know about you guys.
I look at
now, I
them
like
from-
Vivek.
Well, listen, first and foremost, President Ramaswamy. Can you pronounce that one real good? But anyway, no, I like him because he's unfiltered. But,
Right.
you know, it just kind of says it like it is. But,
Right.
no, it's like I watch it I don't even watch them, but I'll read the recap out of morbid curiosity to see which one fell under the last time, you know.
Yeah, I watched the primaries primarily.
Pun intended.
Yeah, because I want to know which candidates are your globalist rhino type,
Right.
you know, on the conservative side, you know, because, yeah.
Well, I picked
mean,
out a few.
Yeah, I definitely.
Yeah,
you got Christie and Haley. I see.
Hey, this is not an opinion show.
Yeah,
Well,
sorry.
sure
I'm
it is.
sorry. I'm
Anyway.
sorry.
But no, but hey, it has been, you know, I mean, it's been such a part of
Right.
our news cycle and such a part of the chaos of 2023 is just trying to keep up with what's going on and that whole thing. And I mean, you know, that leads to, I mean, kind of the biggest storyline with it or chaos of the year has been all these Trump indictments.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
every time it's like a new one here or a new state trying to keep him off the ballot or a new, you know, a new charge here. You know, I mean, how many, 40 something different counts he had on these different indictments, none of which hold any water.
Right,
I mean,
unprecedented.
Yeah,
Like
totally
trying to
unprecedented.
just take people completely off the ballot. No, you know, that's just unheard of. It's
Right.
literally an attack on our republic.
Well, that's what I'd say. It's a real dangerous ground
Yeah.
that it puts us in because
Yeah,
I
like the guy or not, you know.
well, like
it's
him or not, let it decide at the ballot box and not, you know, in a court of law or not in you know, supreme, you know, having to get involved and them saying yay or nay. And I mean, it's like you've got them. I mean, they're not even they're I mean, pick your side, but they're screaming the insurrection stuff
Right.
And yet he's never been charged. He's never been convicted. There's never been in a court of law for that.
Right.
It's just them taking upon themselves, and it's individual agencies filing lawsuits in these courts. And like in the case of the prosecutor up in Maine, I think it was, no court, no hearing, no trial, just as the attorney general
Right.
saying, nope, he's disqualified. You know?
Right. And have you ever seen that in your entire life?
No.
I mean, I don't know, even in history,
listen,
have we
even
ever
people-
heard of, I mean, it could have happened.
I think there was like one time ever that someone was like taken off of a ballot in a state, but I think it got put back on or something. But it
Right.
wasn't nearly the level that it is.
Right, and I
now.
mean, we've definitely had some people that have ran, you know, they may have been in the also ran category, but we've definitely had some ran that, you know, you might scratch your head about, but I mean, it has just been insane. It's like, again, it's in the news feed almost all the time of what's going on with this or that with
Right.
his indictments, and it's just, it overwhelms, and I hate saying the word distraction with it, but in a sense it is, because you're so focused on that you're not seeing everything else going on.
You know, it's sad what I'm about to say,
Oh goodness, here we go.
but does anyone out there, and I know the answer to this before I even ask, does anybody out there really not see through what's going on? I think there really genuinely is, and that is a scary thought.
Well,
to
oh
me.
yeah, there's people that still have either their head buried in the sand, blinders. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
head up. Well, never mind. Anyway,
Right. Yeah. I mean,
That's when you need
in
one of those
terms of
sound
the
effects.
election. In
Yeah.
terms of the election, it feels like this election cycle, the VP has never been more important, right, on both sides,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
because
absolutely.
let's just say Trump's probably going to get the Republican nod. So if they continue to go after him, and let's just say they throw out there and prove
That's not an F.
they prove they prove, I'm putting air quotes up there, that he was an insurrectionist and tried to overthrow the American government and kick him out. So then his VP is the new
Really?
president.
That's a
right?
big choice.
And on the other side, Biden, let's be
That's-
real
if he
here.
makes it there, yeah.
He's 80 plus years old, and everybody can tell that his health is not the greatest. So whether he can even last another 4 years,
Right.
that's a year away,
Right.
Right.
I might add. So
Yeah.
5 years. So his VP on that side's extremely
Extremely important.
important. So
Yeah.
that alone can cause chaos.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Other than bringing up the history of
So,
Spiro Agnew and all them.
Moving
Right.
right along.
No kidding.
What
Hey,
about the open borders
the
that
invasion?
we've been dealing with?
That's right. The southern
Right.
invasion, I call it. I don't care what anybody says, but
Yeah.
assault from the south. You know,
Right.
I mean, that's
I mean, I heard the numbers the other day.
They're
It's
crazy.
astronomical.
Oh.
You know, and of course, what our biggest fears are is it's not just families coming across that just simply want
no.
to, start
Seek
a
a
new
better
life.
life.
Now, I think there's a large portion of them.
I think there's plenty of that, but I mean,
But
you
what's
know,
behind it?
right?
I mean, why do it?
You got a lot of different.
mean,
Why
arguments.
allow
You don't
it?
even have to answer that.
Right.
Okay,
Well, we'll just
because
leave
I'll
that
just
floating.
leave it to them to decide
Right.
because I think they know.
But I mean, for me, what it is, like you said, it's not just South America, Central America. I mean, this
Right.
is countries all over the world,
Yeah.
and some of them are our enemies. Some
Enemy
of them are not
countries
people
from
that
around
like
the world,
us,
right.
and the number of military age males
Right.
that are coming
through.
across. And I mean, put on my tinfoil hat, I guess, instead of this hat. But there's people out there speculating some of those aged men are UN or different infiltration. I mean, it's just the stuff's going wild out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're putting the farmers and the ranchers that are on the border down there that have that land down there, they are suffering. There's one right now, and I think it's New Mexico. There's a rancher who's up on charges for murder because he shot an illegal, and he's refused to plea deal on it. He's not doing it. And
He's fighting it.
he's fighting it, and it's but those people have their land, and these people are coming across it, and you got border patrol agents that are handcuffed, for lack of a better word, but they're in danger. I mean, there's chaos down there in the towns, Eagle Pass and all those different places where they're passing through that are just insane, dangerous right now. The southern border's never been more dangerous than it is right now.
Yeah, I seen a meme the other day that was making fun of the situation of this current administration suing one of the border states. I believe it's Texas, but they're suing
Probably.
a border state for passing a law that says that the new law is that you have to uphold the current law. And they're getting sued over it. And it's like mind-blowing. It's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, you know.
So that alone shows that they have an agenda.
Oh yeah.
We can let the audience
figure it out.
figure that out. But
Right.
but yeah, I mean, that whole situation is scary. Like you mentioned, there's a bunch of people on the terrorist watch list from countries that do not like us coming over. So
Right.
there's obvious sleeper cells in that.
Would have to be. You would
And
think.
it doesn't take very many to bring America to our knees. You take out a few power grid
Don't give any
stations.
ideas.
I think they already got them. But
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, there's
previous episodes have led them.
yeah.
there.
They've been working on this stuff for decades, so they better know this.
Right.
You take out a few power stations.
Josh.
Take out a few power stations. In America, Texas, and the East and West Coast grids with minor things that anybody
Oh.
can make,
Right.
on their self. And
Right.
and America is, on our knees
Oh,
for
yeah.
years,
It's
to
definitely
rebuild
there.
that.
Right.
And you want to talk about, I mean, bro, if you really think about it, I mean, what he was just talking about, these invasions and or even this infiltrations. And, I mean, one of the biggest stories in the last half of this last year was the Hamas and Israel
Yeah.
war or invasion,
Right.
assault,
and
however
and
you
how
wanna
many times
put
did
that.
you see in the headlines? Could this be World War III?
Oh, right, especially with the
I
Ukraine
think we even
stuff
had a
going
headline,
on.
something that was similar to that, and it's with good concern, especially those people who have a biblical worldview.
Well, right.
They're like, what's going on here?
Well, I mean, right. I mean, you've got that going on. That's happening, and especially where it's happening, and and that type of stuff. And then you throw in what's going on over in Ukraine and Russia. You throw in what's happening, with China and their posturing with the with Taiwan and of course North Korea being involved in all that too, I
Right.
think.
Well,
But-
what about just right here in our own home, the division that subject caused between Hamas and Israel?
right. I mean, did you ever think you would see, those type of things flying inside the Capitol building, outside of representatives and senators' offices?
Right.
And openly
Right.
supporting, one side or the other. I mean, whatever your views
Yeah,
are, but I mean,
right.
just the marches and the parades and the hatred. I mean, people were killed and beaten down here in this country over a difference of opinion.
Well, over a difference of race. Some
Right,
were
well, or
Jewish, for example.
right? Ethnic culture type
Right,
things.
ethnical
and I
hate.
mean,
Yeah.
the last thing we need is an ethnic cleansing type mentality. That's growing in this country. We need it.
Right.
now. So I mean, it's
And then I'm about to touch on something that's near and dear to most of our hearts, and that's the food prices.
oh my gosh.
Good.
Right.
grief,
All
man.
these events,
Well, they fuel that.
yeah, exactly. They're all linked to food prices, right? And food security.
Oh yeah.
So that's why it's important to talk about these things.
Right. I mean, it does. I mean, you're right, Josh. It all of that affects it. And I mean, me and you've talked, bro, multiple times about speculators, and using these events to drive futures and stocks and stuff and project. And, it's no different in, I mean, like I said, I never thought I'd see the day that a doggone gallon of milk costs more than a gallon of gas. But,
Crazy.
Right.
and it's like, are you serious? And I mean, so it's like,
I think our family's doing okay.
yeah,
As far as that goes, we survived all of the high prices and that sort of thing.
Right.
But how many people out there, seriously, people that I even know, that might be struggling with that? And I guess maybe they might not be. I mean, some people may have some kind of assistance that helps them get through it.
right.
But for those who don't have assistance and don't have a higher paycheck,
Oh, no. Hey, listen, I'm making, in all honesty, as far as just, I mean, even myself, annual income hasn't really changed much in the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years. But how far it goes sure
Right.
has. And, I talked about it with you earlier, shrinkflation.
oh, right.
That's
yeah.
a real deal. I mean, we had a little get-together Sunday evening, and we was having some chili. Went and bought a brand new box of saltine crackers, opened them up, right? And normally those plastic bags are stuffed to the gills. There was air like a bag of chips on top of this thing, and there was space in the top of the box. But yet it cost me more than it ever cost me.
Right. Yeah. So that happened to me recently. So it was just that last week I went and bought a box of saltine crackers, and I sat down and knocked out a whole line. Sitting there eating a whole row, and I realized after that whole row that I ate, I'm like, I didn't feel as full as I normally do. Right. I was like, something's not right here, and I know I wasn't gaining weight because.
We've been struggling with that for a while.
Yeah. So,
But you did bring up a good point. With inflation and food prices, they said now there's a rise of 1 in 5 Americans are no longer food secure
Right.
today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
that seems kind of high.
Yeah, it is. That's an all-time high.
Especially here.
Oh, it's an all-time high, really.
Yeah.
Even through like
in modern. So that I guess that'd
You
be
mean since I've been alive.
Post World War II, modern era in history's generally post
What I would
World War
ask,
II.
I mean, and bringing that up, I mean, kind of those numbers and where we're at and all these events, is this inflation artificially created? I mean, is it driven by a purpose? Is it artificial, or is it natural occurring?
Should
real?
we just leave that into the
We'll just
hands
ask the
of
question.
the
I mean,
listeners? I have
hey.
my own opinion. But
Evening, Andy.
Yeah.
Well,
Glad for joining us, buddy.
There's a lot of moves that's being made at the federal levels that seem to point that there's a purpose. One little thing I found interesting was they changed the what's that FDIC rules in banks. How used to you were if the bank failed for whatever reason, you were the federal government would insure X amount of dollars.
Yeah. It was 100,000.
Right. Yeah. It started off at 75, and then it increases over time, and it was at 250 recently. Well, they got rid of it altogether.
Oh.
Yeah. So now there's no longer or no limit. Sorry, they didn't get rid of the insurance. So now it's a no limit, and I'm seeing that the elites gets that pushed through, so they're covered in a crash. And what it would cause is the banks, if they would have to federalize,
centralize,
right. So if there's an attack and they can't pay that, well, the federal government will step in and cover it if they're federalized. So I think it's a big move to federalize all banks in America, which is very, very scary.
Which some of our founding fathers were very much against. But
absolutely.
So our buddy Andy in chat
Yeah.
said government.
Government.
He said government. Now, I don't know if he was referring to who's behind all this or exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Maybe he'll clear it up.
Yeah, there you go. Digital money.
Digital
Andy.
money, yes,
Digital
sir.
money. That's right.
Andy.
Central bank digital currency and control. But
yeah,
right.
exactly right.
So
So, with all of these things, going on, would you say that at least in some people's mind, it might have caused just a little bit of anxiety?
Just a wee bit.
I would be curious to know if the sales of anxiety medicine went up over these last couple of years.
I don't know about the sales, but I bet the prescriptions have went up.
Well, I would think that
alcohol sales might have went right beside it. I don't know. Marijuana sales.
I was about to say we're in a marijuana state right now. Oklahoma has turned all to that, so I bet their sales have went up.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. But facing our deepest fears, we often find ourselves stuck in denial. Would you say that some people have a normalization bias?
Oh man,
I would.
Absolutely. I mean, rose-colored glasses. Head in the sand, kind of. Just make it stop. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to face it. I don't want to hear about all that stuff. And I don't want to talk about it.
Right. So my question to you is could embracing this new reality be the first step towards not just surviving, but thriving?
Oh yeah.
And some people maybe they don't see that.
Right.
But I see a lot of silver lining in some of the things that's going on. I really do.
I mean,
it's where do you put your time and your money now, to know how much it's going to grow in the future, right? So if currency changes, away from the dollar, which we're seeing happen, obviously.
So say
It's
Russia
like
and China
if you
have already,
know,
or Russia and Iran are already.
if you
they
know
don't trade in dollars.
the currency and the value of future products, that's how you become wealthy, right?
Right.
So what are some of the things that we can do to thrive in the face of the chaos of 2024?
You know, I mean, when you talk about that denial, and I mean, you talk about that moving into that, you
Yeah.
know, I know for me, anytime I've had a fear,
Mm-hmm.
the more I faced that fear and the more I hit it head on, the smaller that fear got, or even went away.
Right.
You know, it was when I was dwelling on it and I was thinking about it and letting it take over, or just refusing to move, you know, that it had its biggest thing. So I mean, just when I say that action of some kind is really, to me, one of the solutions is that we take some kind of action. You know, we all remember 2019 and before, and that's our reference to the old days.
That's
Right.
You know, and versus, you know,
Yeah.
where we're at now.
Yeah, what you're saying is the more prepared you are, the less anxiety and denial you have. Like
Right,
you brought up the 2019 when, that thing that we don't speak of occurred.
The name that shall not be mentioned.
When that occurred, and people's freaking out, mass hysteria, especially over toilet paper, but other products, like I was calm as can be because I was prepared for events like that for many years. So, I think that's the whole point of this, is being prepared. So that anxiety and fear doesn't hit you like.
I remember at the time, I mean, we've talked about it before on different episodes, but I remember at the time, it wasn't fear for me as it was just utter shock at the magnitude and the behavior.
Right.
That really just kind of blew my mind.
I must be an angry man because I just got angry about it.
Well, that got there, but I mean, initially it was just like, is this really, really?
Right.
And so,
From something that we look back now as pretty minor. I don't mean to, for anyone who's lost loved ones during all that, I'm not putting that down. But what the steps and the regulations the laws and all that has come up from that, we can obviously see was they definitely overshot it.
I mean, what the government and officials not overreaching?
Right. So what would they do? What would happen? The chaos that occurred during that event. What chaos would occur if there was a real significant event like a blackout? Like a nationwide blackout.
I want to kind of steer us back into the direction that we're going, and that is where we're talking about the solutions and how we could thrive underneath this. And one of the things that I want to say to everybody out there is that, look, the old normal is gone.
Right.
It ain't coming back.
Yeah.
But we have to find a way to thrive in the face of this new somewhat dystopian society that we're
dystopian utopia, what they want.
Right. Well, I mean, it is. It is. Like I said, from 2020 really till now. I mean, it's been a different world than most of us grew up in, and so there is. We have a reference, I always say, but to, even like, the 70s, the 80s, or if you're older, beyond that, or, maybe the 90s. And we have this window of this idea in our mind of what the good days were, or what it was like before. No, we want to go back to that.
Right.
And I'm wrong. I understand the
normalization bias.
But
I
it's
do
normalization. I miss 2019.
In a way. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little bit thankful that people are waking up, but not only just other people, but myself.
Right.
I'm looking at this and I'm saying, you know what? I remember the days to where, America could never fail.
Right.
I remember those days, and I'll be honest with you, some of us kind of got quite lazy with, our protecting our rights and our freedoms and that sort of thing. And today, I think there's a lot more in me personally that says, we took that for granted.
Oh,
Maybe we shouldn't do that.
Right. Oh, it definitely, I think, got a lot of people's attention that were maybe, like you said, not paying attention
Right.
as much. But, that's biggest part of that, we talked about facing the mirror, is the acceptance of the world as it is right now,
Right.
and that normal's not the old normal is not coming back. No matter what, even if we could fix everything and say this is the way it should be,
Right.
it's still not going to be the way it was.
Right.
Yeah, it'll take a generation minimum to go change things.
Right. I mean,
so the first step, obviously, is face our fears, stop denying what's going on,
Right.
get into acceptance,
right.
and then let's make a plan to go forward. In that plan to go forward, I want you guys to start with remembering that they need us to comply.
Oh yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And so,
Well,
don't forget, and all of us tend to feel this way, and that is that we feel like we're outnumbered.
right.
We're not outnumbered. There are more of us than there are of them,
Absolutely.
and they need us to go along
Right.
with their plans.
right. And and that's a big thing because when you talk about that, they don't want us together. That's why everything is spent in keeping us divided and fighting with each other.
That's right.
Because if we're divided, if we ever join forces, then they don't have control.
That's right.
And the fact is, like you said, there are more of us. And, you got 500 and something elected and appointed, and then you've got all the bureaucrats and all that stuff. But, still, you got a handful of people. And you add governors and you add all these, but the politicians, the political class is still vastly outnumbered by the people, as it was always meant, at least in this country, was always meant to be.
Right.
That the government or the officials and those elected should fear the population, not the other way around.
And they hate that.
And they hate that.
Yeah.
And they're taking steps to change that.
Right. So,
Right. When people fear their government, that's tyranny.
Right.
When the government fears the people, that's liberty.
absolutely well said.
Yep.
And it's, so that's the first thing I would say to, like you said, that first, once we accept it, get out of the denial and see where we're at,
Right.
but don't lose heart.
Yeah.
Because
there's a lot of positive things.
And I
going
will
on
tell you,
right now.
we've learned in the last, last 2 years, how many more like-minded individuals there really are right in our own backyards.
100%.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
feel more encouraged today and more patriotic today than I ever have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's the truth.
It's I'm gonna
Right.
stand for something worth standing for. In that
Right.
regard. But it's so
Right. So
next
there's,
step.
yeah, the next step, that we believe is buying time.
Right.
One of the things that we've learned through the name that shall not be mentioned is that these things can happen. Of course, I learned it, much, much earlier than that.
Right.
However, we can't say it can't happen here.
Oh,
Because, man, how many times have we seen that just in the last 20 years?
Oh,
It
bro.
can happen here. It has happened here.
Right. And if we study history, we see
Right.
a lot of things have happened here.
Right.
But,
So part of thriving is, buying a little bit of time through preparing,
right. And
like storing food. And we beat this horse to death. And I know
Oh, yeah.
people's heard this a million times,
And
but
we're
I'm
gonna
saying it, and we're going to keep on
we're gonna
saying
beat that
it.
drum.
Prepare for the unexpected through preparation.
Right.
Make a plan.
Make a plan.
That's it.
Right.
Because you've got to buy yourself a little bit of time when those things happen. It's not that when things, people start, swarming toward the stores if something
well,
happens. I don't depend on that.
right. Well, when you
Right.
start talking about buying time, when things happen, whether it's natural disaster or man-made disaster or whatever, the more prepared you are in ways, the less you have that, I've around here when it's going to snow or ice, or there's even hints of tornadoes, better go get your bread and your milk and you better,
Right.
that's the
Yeah.
mindset. Everybody runs to the store and they clear the shelves of all that stuff. And I can't remember the last time that I've had to do that or even thought that way. It's like, well, okay,
Right.
I'll be all right,
Right.
because hey, I know what I've got in my house. I know I've prepared for that. I always keep enough to get through, never mind my permanent, actual preps, but I mean, I just intentionally don't let my cupboard go dry.
Right.
So that is a big deal. And
Yeah.
And for some of you guys out there who are just getting into growing food, even myself, I'm new at
Right.
growing food. My wife's been doing it for for quite a while,
right,
little here and there, not anything major.
right.
Shout out to Andy who does amazing
Oh
on that.
my goodness, right? Go
But-
back and watch our wicking tubs with Andy episode. Go back and watch them. You
Yeah,
learn so much
it's
about that.
amazing.
Um,
And so you may be thinking that you're going to buy time for, then I'll plant a garden after something happens and buy time. But it takes time to get into understanding growing. There's going to be
There's
failures.
a learning curve. I
It's a
failed for
learning
2
curve.
years in a row.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
so
So
learning curves.
Yeah.
So what I want to say about that is, don't think that you shouldn't at least start that now, even if you've got some supplies prepped.
Right. Well, we talked about that prep. I mean, me and you mentioned earlier in show prep about, the Dave Ramsey debt snowball method
Mhm.
about building up an emergency, fund, building up an emergency fund. Well, it's the same thing with your food. You're
Right.
building up an
Absolutely.
emergency fund.
Right.
And, I can remember, 72 hours. Start out there. Get yourself through the first 3 days. And then it's kind of its own snowball. And then worry about having enough for the next 3 months.
Right.
Then worry about getting enough for the next 6 months. Then worry about getting enough for the next year.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, just step that up. And it's little bite-sized things. It's not going out and trying to buy the whole farm at one time. It's
Right.
a couple
Yeah,
of
you
cans here. It's a bag of
it-
rice there. It's whatever.
Yeah, to use another one of his philosophies is after you had that, he says put 10% into
Right.
investments, right? So, so why not every time you're at the store, whatever you're going to spend, buy 10% of products that are long-term shelf stable. We talk about those many
Right.
times: rice, beans,
Oh,
canned
yeah, all
goods,
that
things
stuff.
like that. So just do that, and over time, it starts to build up.
Right. And I mean, that's a big deal with it. And I a friend of mine sent this out the other day, and I don't know if it's a quote from somebody or not. I just know he put it out. It said, "Indecision is a decision."
Right.
And it's like, so you got to decide,
Right.
do you want to be prepared, and do you want to, not be anxious and not be fearful of not having food to eat, or not being prepared when the opportunity is now that you
Right.
can. And, so I mean, we started to talk about growing our own food. And like I said, I have failed on container gardening. I've had some success, but I've had a lot of failure.
But that's only on your way to success.
But that's just working. I'm learning.
Everything that you can do is breaking the chains of dependency,
Oh
right?
my goodness, right? Kicking Murphy to the curb.
Right. Now,
Mm.
to qualify that, son, I'm not talking about your dog.
No, we're not talking about
We got a
Murphy the
dog named Murphy in the house. But anyway, yeah, that was another thing. You mentioned Dave Ramsey earlier, and that
Right.
was one of the things that he talks about in his baby steps is,
Right.
save up $1,000 so that you're prepared for Murphy. So that's like kicking Murphy out of your house before he even gets a foothold in it. You know
right.
what I mean?
I mean, absolutely, because I mean, we've talked about numerous times about breaking the chains. Oh yeah, sorry. Anyway, getting comfortable. Anyway, talked about breaking the chains. Well, listen, I mean, and we've quoted many times, from Kissinger about control the food, control the people.
Right.
Right. So we're not saying don't use supply chain, don't go to these places. I mean, use them
No.
while they're there, absolutely, because it's a good place to get things. But use it to be prepared.
Right.
And when you do that, and if you're in that prep mind, then you're not dependent upon it. You're using it as a tool,
Right.
not the other way around.
Right.
Because when we had that thing that shall not be mentioned, think about the places that were allowed to remain open and those that were not.
Right.
Okay? They knew what they were doing. It was, with how they could control.
Right. And let's just say that they were major links in the supply chain. Could we say that?
We could.
And
absolutely.
what if we could, break a few of those links and shorten that chain down?
Oh, right.
And we can.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And it's not that difficult, actually.
And then this next one is part of the way that I believe that we can, begin to break those chains down even
Oh, yeah.
further. And that's community building, being a known entity.
Oh, yeah.
And what I wanted to talk about is whenever I was in the airline,
Right.
we had the thing that they call KCM. Well, KCM stands for known crew member. Well, known crew member simply mean that they did all of our background checks, and whenever everybody else was standing in lines and had to take off their shoes and their belts and everything out of their pockets and walk through a major scanner and things like that, well, we would just flash our known crew member through our line, and we were literally in it within in the airport within seconds, right?
Right.
That's because we were a trusted member as a known crew member, right?
Okay.
I want to change that KCM to stand for known community member.
Oh, man, that's rich.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So here's what I mean by that is that if you get involved with your community in whatever way that happens to be, whether it is going to the farmer's market and meeting people there, getting to know your farmer, getting to going to meetings in your local place, or beginning to build community around with like-minded people.
Right.
This is what I'm talking about, because think about this. If things hit the fan,
Yeah.
right,
Okay.
then and you need something, and then Joe unknown over there goes to them and asking help, and you're asking at the same time, who you think's going to get, who's going to be getting taken care of.
Right.
That's right, because you're known, but not just known, but you're trusted.
Right, and that's
Right.
a big part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge part. It's the trust factor, and I mean, it's like one of those things. I live in a new community now. I just moved into a new
Right.
community.
Yep.
I've only been up there for 3 months.
And you're
That-
community building, aren't
Right, I'm working on it steadily by steadily, getting to know, got in a Facebook group, have been in the Facebook group for a while, but getting in that Facebook group that's out there that, people comment in that community and there's stuff going on and you find out and people ask each other for help and it's back and forth,
Right.
and even one of the big things I've been doing, I've been going and hanging out at one of the local businesses, which is a store up there. And, getting to know the people that come in and out of there, talking with the owner all the time, becoming known in that community.
Right.
And I mean, we've had the property for 4.5 years. So I've got to know the neighbors, right around me. In our most recent work up there, I shared with you, I got to know neighbors a little further down because unbeknownst to me, I had an electrician living a block, what would be a block, living down at the end of the road. There's an electrician living down there.
Right.
And he was friends with the plumber that I needed.
Well, in the back of my mind, you're a KTM. What is that? Known troublemaker.
Known to me? Well,
Yeah.
I hope
Don't be
not.
that.
That brings up a good point. So there's two ways to survive, those situations.
Right.
Being a known, trusted community member,
Right.
and the other way would be a known local warlord,
Yeah.
Okay, John.
community member. So
I'm getting the Walking Dead vibes here.
Well, my point is, there's a point behind this. So
I
the
gotta
point
hear
is, to be known and be friendly and trusted with your local members. If not, your only way of survival is you better stock up on nothing but bullets and ammo. Because
If you can't be known and trusted, you better be known and feared.
right,
Is that-
yeah, well, right, it's feared so people don't take what you can provide
Right.
for yourself. But yeah, it's we
Right.
would definitely
You can
call.
tell that if we have a show flow here,
Right.
and if Josh would have ridden the show flow, it would have been an intro, buy bullets, and prepare for the unexpected and keep it low. Good night. It would have been pretty short, but but anyway,
Local-
no, you're not wrong.
how to
You're
be a
right.
warlord 101.
Right.
Would have been a 5-minute show tops.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness gracious! But I mean, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
gotta have fun,
so-
gotta laugh. But no, that is such a big part of it, though, bro. Is the community involvement? I mean, and it's like
It is right.
and I mean that can be from your block if you live in a suburban area or whatever, to
Yeah.
just people that you live around every day. And I mean, but and we've talked about this a lot. This resurgence recently of the general store.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
uh,
that's interesting to me.
I mean, how these people are beginning to come in, and somebody has a place, and they're allowing local growers and local people to put their products in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you're buying local.
Right.
You know, and you get to know, hey, most of the time you can get to know those people. So again, it's a community building thing
Yep.
that can bring people together.
Yeah,
And so
that's
it's-
right. And we're about to, I'm about to issue a challenge to everybody out there, including all the ones that's sitting at this table.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we kind of started down that.
So I said you've already
road
been down
here.
the road, but yeah.
Well, not
One
much. I
step.
mean, I just took a step down the road of this, but
Hey, you know, hey, 1,000-mile journey starts with the first step.
first step.
That's right.
I
So,
yeah, 100%. In a
Yeah.
divided world, the act of breaking bread together seems like a forgotten ritual, wouldn't you say?
oh man, right?
I mean, I remember the day when this used to be the norm. People would sit down at a table and break bread together, and some people are still doing that. You know, I mean, I know of people who every day they have their children over for lunch.
Right.
I know a
Right.
lady and her family who does that every single day.
That's
now.
impressive. I
That's
mean,
very impressive.
you know,
I don't think I could take it.
I will add.
But-
I will add.
He can only handle me so much, folks.
Hey,
I
you
will-
said that, not me.
I will add this. That's what I say. Sitting down at a table, breaking bread together, without the devices,
Right.
communicating, looking each other in the eye.
Did you do that?
I think my palm did that.
Yeah. Morning.
But I'm just saying, it's kind of a point. Sound the
Yeah,
siren.
red
The
flag.
family's coming. No, but no, we. But you know, but yeah, sitting down and actually
Right.
communicating with each other, spending time with each other, and not our devices and not our,
No.
whatever. And I'm telling you, I know for me, even in my own family, that would be a challenge. That would be a huge deal.
So let me tell you a little bit about our first little opening salvo into bringing back
Right.
this tradition or ritual, and that I wanted my children to be at my table
Right.
at least on Sunday.
Right.
You know, and so we just began, initiating that into our family.
Right.
And I was a little apprehensive. I said, I'm not sure how this is going to go because I'm about to ask people, could you put your phone on silent?
Right.
I wasn't sure how that was
Well, I'm
going
going
to
to
go.
ask
and
Josh
it was
because
like-
Josh was there. How did that go, Josh?
I'm not a big phone person. I don't have to,
Yeah.
it's used for me to listen to podcasts
Right.
or music while I work. And, I'm not a big,
Right.
I got to be on social media
I
right
gotcha.
now kind of person.
Okay, so mine
so
not
it
a-
was easy for me.
yeah. So in our family, we started out with prayer,
Right.
after I asked them to turn off the cell phones,
Right.
and then, I kind of asked a question. One of the things that my wife said is, don't bring up politics, whatever you do, because
Us
she
bring
didn't
up
want dinner
politics?
to be about politics. And I said, well, I'm not going
These
to tell
two
people.
guys bring up politics? Nah.
Right. And I said, well, I'm not going to introduce the topics. I'm just going to let everybody, say what they want to say, And
Right.
so, that's kind of the way it went. And, I started out with something really simple like, and talking to my son's girlfriend, I
Yeah.
said, so how was your day? Something really simple. Conversation, icebreaker, whatever you want to call that. Just ask a simple question to get it started.
Right.
And it turned out that after that little bit of time and a little bit of food, the conversation just started rolling,
Right?
right? It
Yeah.
just started rolling.
I mean, that's, listen, that's the secret to it all.
So this is my challenge to everybody.
Okay.
Start it with your families, okay? Start it with your family. But not just with your family. My thinking is that if you invite somebody in your community over to break bread at your table, that you'll be starting something. First of all, you're going to establish a very strong tie with that individual.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that you can do this and encourage that, the more I think that when the time comes and problems happen, the more you can expect, a little help in your time of need,
Right.
right?
Logically, it would make sense that way. And I
Right.
mean, I told you, like I said, it's hard to be mad with a full belly. I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
for
it's just,
sure. Yeah.
because we make, I mean, that's how you make, that's how you make that connections. I mean, it's sitting down and breaking bread together. And I mean, it's, it's just such a big deal. And I mean, you'll find, especially when you're, if you're stepping out, even your own family. I will say this. I was about to say outside of your family, but even with your own family, you might find that you have more in common with each other than you thought.
Right.
There may be common grounds, or they may be
Right.
things that you didn't even realize with that person that you share in common, or that you share a similar view. And I say it particularly with people you don't know. I mean, most of us, if we're anywhere close to our family, we kind of know where they lean one way or another.
Well,
But-
that's true. But one of the things I'll say is that, I don't know necessarily exactly what's going on in Josh's life
Oh, no.
every day of the week. Maybe
Right.
something occurred this week that I didn't even know about.
Right.
He's probably keeping things on the down low and not telling anybody. I
Well,
mean,
Not usually.
But-
Since
Josh, yeah.
I work alone, live alone, and work both jobs alone, pretty much.
yeah.
Live alone. Like, you get to hear it all on Fridays generally. So
Well, that's true. I do have
Well,
that
we
luxury.
do got. Yeah,
But you know what?
I got to talk to somebody.
right.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
And so, with that,
I'm gonna ask
as
that.
we said, community starts at your table, man.
Right, it does. And I mean, and we, this question we had asked ourselves: what if the simplest actions are what holds the key
And
to
that's
rebuilding
it.
those communities?
That's it.
I mean,
I have a lot of hope in that. Now, this
Right.
can't be difficult,
no,
but you can't just hibernate inside your room and not get out into the community
oh no,
and see people.
right,
I'm pointing fingers, but you notice there's 3 pointing back at myself because
Right.
I'm an introvert, right?
Right. Oh, I
I
got a
know
family
this
of
about
those.
myself.
That's a
But-
good point. So, prepping, we always point to, right? Like stockpiling food and everything. But that does cost money, where meeting your community and being a known entity is free.
right.
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
So if
I don't know my
would-
bill at the amount of money I spent on that grill. I don't know,
Oh,
but no,
well,
I mean,
yeah.
but I was
Yeah.
eating that anyway.
There's
so-
that.
conversation
It's free.
is free.
Right, and it's like I know in my community, if you go down, and particularly on Saturday mornings, I've got to notice because I'm usually at work by 8 o'clock in the morning on a normal day. I'm already at work, but I've went into this store. They have tables and stuff. You can go in there and sit down, and about 8 o'clock in the morning, you go in there, and what I call the old timers, the people, the farmers, the people that have been around there for a long time, they're in there sitting around having coffee and breakfast and chatting with each other, and you can sit in a booth over there beside them. Never involve yourself in the conversation. And you'll
a
learn
lot.
all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff
Oh,
going
yeah.
on.
That's
That's
true.
some of my best days was always going to the coffee shop uptown in Spiro with Grandpa and
Yep.
Papa
Yep.
in the morning times when they drink
Oh,
coffee.
yeah.
They just go in there and sit, and you'd hear things that
You're never
an
gonna read the news-
8-year-old kid shouldn't probably hear.
Right,
you
and
know?
things you're not going to read in the newspaper.
But you do learn a lot of good things.
Right, and you
during
but you get to
that.
know who
a lot
they
of
are.
good
and-
knowledge.
And
But
and
I
I
can-
figured out it's like, well, by that time of the morning, they've gotten up, they've fed their animals, they've done what they need to do, they got their first part of their day done, and so then they're going to go down and get some breakfast, hang out with coffee. But I'll promise you, as good as the food is, they're there as much for the
Oh, yeah.
interaction and
Right.
catching up with each other. Hey, what'd you run? So and so, and they know everybody up there, and so it's a full blown conversation. And I mean, so I
Andy
mean,
here says you need people and community. And here's the thing: there's a lot of people who want to be independent. They want to go it alone, but there is no such thing as going it alone. There is probably,
Well,
but you're a rare bird if you're
Well-
able to successfully do
Right, well, there's-
everything on your own and have absolutely no need for other people.
well,
That's just weird.
and that's a battle of mentalities.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Hollywood and the movies propagate that. But I mean, it's lone wolf versus the pack. Spit and whittle club.
Yeah, the
I said-
spit and whittle
Yeah,
club.
the-
You got that right.
Yeah,
Andy.
the warlord isn't even alone, right? He needs somebody to
He's
fire bullets for him too.
you know,
so.
right. But I mean, it's lone wolf versus the pack.
Right.
And who's going to win? Who's going to survive the longest in that situation? And I mean, you talk about that. One of the things I was reading when we were just in a prep mentality, of like building your little network was, you can't stand watch on your stuff 24 hours a day, 7
Right.
days a week by yourself.
Right.
It's physically impossible. Okay. So you've got to have people around you. You got to build that ahead of time, and community from a positive standpoint of just, in your community, that's the same thing. You got to build that. And,
Right.
You know,
Maybe I just take that a little step further. You know, Restoration Farms the other
Right,
day,
right.
they posted something.
oh, right. Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
where they were just talking about that their little community,
It's
you
so
know, they
cool.
just like got together at somebody's house, and
Right, they showed
actually
pictures of it. It was
that's where
cool.
that idea came from. And I shared it, and I said, yeah, man, that's it. This is what this is all about, you know.
Right.
And so his community gets together like that, and then we had.
It was Dakota and
Dakota
Dakota
and
and Shayla
Shayla.
from Old Pecan
Yeah, so
Homestead.
we should do a biannual thing to
Like
where
a
like the
potluck.
whole state of Oklahoma gets
Yeah, just-
together at a potluck,
Yeah.
you know, the like-minded people.
Right.
And I'm thinking, now look, that's good. I mean, that's really good.
That's rich.
I mean, of course, but they're so far away from us
Right. Well, yeah,
at any
distance.
time. So don't just get involved at that. Which I want to say,
We
get
did-
involved with that. Okay.
Well, so to say we did say count us in. So I mean,
Right. Count us in.
You know, but and minute, you know, because I mean, once every couple of years, you know, as many people that can meet together, and yeah, you
Right.
bring a potluck thing, you know, man, it'd be awesome to
Yeah,
be
just
around.
have a potluck
Yeah.
dinner. Please don't make it in the wintertime.
Yeah, no.
I am
agree.
a fair weather guy.
Right, but you know,
I hate to say that.
I
but
wrote
it's
this
true.
down, bro. I mean, you know, and I would encourage this to our believers. I'm talking. I've been at church all week. I'm sorry, guys. Not going to apologize, but I've been at church. Been talking to a church men's group. Be the change.
Be the change.
Be the change.
You're sounding a little like Obama.
Hey, you know what? Listen, I might not agree with the former president on a lot of things.
Right, but that statement.
That statement, be the change. You know, now,
Yes,
I don't
we
want to
can.
fundamentally transform America, but
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I don't know. Transform it back to something
well,
normal.
I'll tell you, retro. But
Retro.
anyway,
Mhm.
retrofit it. But
But
no, you know, and it goes back to what we've, you know, our push this year, stronger together.
stronger together.
You know, hashtag stronger together.
Yeah,
You know,
that's it. We
and
didn't create it, but we sure are going to push
we're
it.
sure going to use it. You know, and I mean
Right.
that's, you know, just such a
Right.
thing. You know.
Now, before we get off here, we're
Yeah.
going to have to bring this thing to a
Oh,
close.
yeah,
We're getting
yeah.
a little long-winded into this,
Us?
but Spit and Whittle Club. I'll be thinking about that
No
tonight.
kidding. I'm going to have to
anyway.
remember that one.
But the expo's coming up, and we're
Oh,
preparing for that.
Man, yes.
And
I'm super excited about that.
right.
Super.
And
Super busy, but super excited.
yeah, so we intend to go bigger than we went last year,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm just going to kind of not go too far into the
Oh, yeah.
details of that. But I don't know if you guys had missed it or not, but they had offered, it's 2 days for $35. Now they don't sell them on single
that's,
tickets.
No, that's over.
Right, that part's over
that
with
part's
now.
over, yeah.
Right, but what I want to announce is that we're going to be doing a giveaway.
That's right. We are.
Right.
The dates to be announced. But
Yeah,
yes.
to be announced, and we'll come up with the details. But we are going to be giving two tickets.
Two times.
To the expo. That means you get to take you and your significant other, whoever
Or
that
your best
might be.
friend, or you
yeah,
know, I
heck,
mean,
well,
you know. whatever. But yeah,
And so we'll be announcing that giveaway soon, and
yeah.
so
Look for that on our Facebook. I mean,
we're
that's-
pushing it.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
getting behind the expo, and we're pushing. We're working.
Right.
Trying to work closely with Hidden
Well,
Heights Farm
and keeping it Dutch.
and keeping it Dutch.
Right.
you
I mean,
know.
because that to me, that's what really kind of kicked us off on this, and that was
Yeah.
an epitome of a larger community.
Yeah.
Coming together with and one to learn, to share, but to but to hang with each other and get to know each other. And we made a lot of in one time there. We made a lot of connections. I mean, so,
Yeah.
And I say
Right.
connections, good connections, friendship connections.
Looking forward to that. But kind of what we got planned is we're just going to do event coverage. We're going to try to do some live stream. We're not going to give away all of the dirty little
No,
secrets.
you got to
all
come.
of the great
You got to
little
come.
secrets
You got
that
to come to experience it.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we are going to tell you some of the things that's going on around there, as well as interviewing some people that you may know, Joe
Right.
Salatin. Yeah.
Of course, and several other people that are speaking there. I mean, all of
Right.
you just go out there and look for YouTubers that cover
Right.
homesteading and stuff, and that are especially the ones out of this area, but are coming to that. Yeah, so you'll get a chance to see just a little different view on some
Right.
of your
A lot of
usuals.
your favorite YouTubers,
Right.
we're going to try to nab them
Right.
off of their little
Right.
circuit there
and
bring them in.
well,
for some
and
questioning.
much like like last year, occasionally, catching somebody that maybe is not a big YouTuber, but they're a vendor, or they do something that's so connected in with it that you just got to talk to them and want to talk to them about it. But I think that's a big deal. And yeah, pushing that. And by the way, if you haven't seen it on their Facebook, if you haven't been out there and you hadn't followed our Facebook by some crazy chance, they are still taking apps for volunteers.
Right.
And they cannot do it without volunteers. It takes takes an army. I mean, to make that thing happen. I was amazed at the amount of volunteers they had. But it's a great way. It's just like I said on our Facebook post. It's a great way to go experience the expo, meet those people, find out what makes it so special.
Right.
And I know they could use the help.
Andy says, homesteading, seed swapping, and growing strategies. Yeah, you're going to see all of that there.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely. Andy, I hope that you can make it out there. I
Right.
don't know if you've checked that date out. I
Right.
hope that you
Right.
can make it out
That
there. I'd
is
love to
that
see
is
you.
March 22nd and 23rd,
Right.
Mays County Fairground in Pryor, Oklahoma.
Right.
You can go to okiehomesteading.com, or you can find them on Facebook, Okie Homesteading, and get your tickets there. They haven't came out with the T-shirts yet. I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on that, but anyway, they have come out. The dates are there. It's $50 is a 2-day ticket. They're not selling single-day tickets this year. It's all you buy, whether you go 1 day or go 2 days. It's the same price. Kids 17 and under are free. So
Right.
if you're wanting to go, and you got kids, and like some of the ones we know that have 10, but anyway,
Yeah.
but you obviously couldn't afford to go if it was, Andy said, I hope I win the drawing.
That's it.
There you go.
You might, Andy.
But but they want it to be a family experience, and so that's why they say kids 17 and under are free.
Right.
So I mean, that's making it affordable for families to be able to go out and experience this and learn, and there's so much hands-on. There's so much it was an amazing time, and
Yeah.
I highly encourage, if you've got any
So-
interest in farming, ranching, homesteading. I mean, my wife wants to go so she can get more elderberry.
Right.
I mean, it's
Yeah, absolutely.
and she
I'm
enjoyed the
certain it'll
vendors
be
and the
there.
shopping.
Yeah.
So.
And so before we sign off
Yeah.
there, let me borrow that hat.
Borrow the hat, man.
Yeah.
My bad hairdo.
I want to
underneath it.
see if anybody out there can tell me where this come from. Now, shh, don't say it out loud, okay? Don't say it out loud. Hang on, I got to take this thing off.
Uh-oh. See if he can get it. He's going to get up close and personal, y'all.
Yeah.
Go to... Oh, here he goes.
Now, what I want to say, if anybody can still hear me, is do you know where this comes from? Whoa, back up.
Make it a little bit.
Yeah,
There you
I'm a
go.
little too...
Got too dark.
Right
Put
there.
it too
There
dark.
you go. Good.
Okay. All right. Does anybody know where that comes from?
Put it
If
in the
you
light,
do,
bro. There we
put
go.
it in the comments below.
There you go. Make a comment if you
By
know
the
where.
way, if you know what this is, you are an insider.
That's right. Operation Chaos. For those who can't read it, Operation Chaos. But listen, I mean, man, did we cover a lot. But listen, folks. Seriously, it is all about the community. That is the solution
That's
all
how
the way
you
around.
thrive.
That's how you thrive in 2024 and beyond.
Right.
In the face of this chaos, don't let them get to you. Don't let them get you down. There are more of us, and we are stronger together.
Right. Don't
And,
play their game.
Of course, if you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, like, subscribe, ring the bell, do
Right.
all those great things. Send
Yeah,
us
appreciate
comments. We're also on. Let me see. We're still on all the iHeart and
Yeah, we're on
Spotify.
iHeart,
I don't know if this will be,
Spotify,
but we
Yeah,
are,
probably
and of course, Facebook, YouTube,
Right.
all that stuff. So and hey, if you like what we're doing, if you find our content valuable, entertaining, share it. Tell a friend, okay? 'Cause that's how
Yeah.
it spreads. Thanks to all the love that we've gotten in the last month since we've started our new docuseries, On the Road. That is the Farm to Table Direct Show, On the Road. As you can see, we're live tonight doing a full-blown show, but I'm actually beginning to move into my house up on the homestead, so hopefully this at least a temporary studio will be forthcoming, and we can get the farm to table report back rolling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we can
gotta
get that.
going.
So hey,
All right, guys.
any further comments from anybody? Any
No,
last
we're
minutes?
good. Just
All
go
right.
out there, make it happen.
Make it happen. Be what you want the world to be. And like we always say, each and every time when we sign off from the Farm to Table Direct Show, prepare for the unexpected and keep it local.